Dear Minister, laureates, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I'm delighted and honored to wish you all welcome to the Kavli Prize Ceremony 2010. This is certainly a very special occasion for the prize winners, but I can assure you that it's quite a special occasion for me as well. Because this year, I'm going to share the floor with an extraordinary gentleman. A gentleman who has won international fame as a writer, a director, and an actor. We all know him from MASH, from West Wing, and from a number of movies and television series. But he is also very well known and respected as a man with a deep dedication to social and political issues. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Alan Alda. Wonderful to see you back in Oslo again.
Oh, thank you.
But you look a little different from last time.
All this extra hair on my face. I know. I'm going to make a movie in a few weeks, and the director wanted me to look as scruffy as possible. Is it working?
Well, it's coming along nicely,
good,
I would
good,
say.
yeah.
So what are you going to play?
Well, I'm going to play the founder of a free love commune.
A free love commune.
The research is killing me.
Well, not all of us here in Scandinavia, know your link to science, but of course, I guess that explains everything. But in the United States, however, Alan Alda is very well known as the host of the PBS series Scientific American Frontiers. And so, where did this interest for natural sciences start?
Oh, I don't know. I love to watch the brains of very smart people solving difficult problems. It's entertaining. And I don't have to go to the trouble of being smart myself.
Well, I think you're a little bit too humble.
Oh,
I
no.
mean, you've written numerous...
I'm not smart like this. I'm smart like this.
Well, anyway, you've written a number of articles for Scientific American magazine, and even penned a limerick about Schrödinger's cat.
I did. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, please.
His cat was both dead and alive until Schrödinger's guests would arrive. Then he'd open the box and toss in some locks, and the cat would just lay there or thrive. This is extremely witty if you understand quantum mechanics, which unfortunately no one understands.
No. Well, maybe.
Well,
we have some in the audience
They
here.
all say that none of us will get it.
Okay. Well, so here we are, two people from art and culture who are going to present some of the foremost representatives of natural science. And that is just like it should be, isn't it?
It is.
Nature and culture, two sides of the same coin.
I agree. The Kavli Prizes exist to reward outstanding research and also to raise public awareness about the importance of basic research in all fields of science for the betterment of all people all over the world.
And the three Kavli Prizes are awarded every 2 years and consist of a diploma, a medal, and $1 million each. The awards are presented in cooperation with the Norwegian Academy of Science and Letters, with the Ministry of Education and Research, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
The Kavli Prizes stand out, of course, because of the size of the award, but also because they've been inaugurated and sponsored by one private individual, the physicist, inventor, businessman, and philanthropist Fred Kavli. He was born in the village of Eresfjord, in beautiful Romsdal. I know it's beautiful because Fred told me how beautiful it is. Fred Kavli was trained as a physicist at the Norwegian Institute of Technology in Trondheim.
And he left for Canada and proceeded to the United States, where he started Kavli Co., one of the world's largest and most successful suppliers of sensors for aeronautic, automotive, and industrial applications.
10 years ago, he established the Kavli Foundation to bring his vision to reality. And will do that through an international program of research institutes, prizes, professorships, and symposia.
Laureates, ladies and gentlemen, the moment has come for the Kavli Prizes 2010 to be awarded, and the ceremony opens with a procession. And now I must ask all members of the academic community to restrain their acquired reflexes and remain seated. The procession is headed by the President and Vice President of the Norwegian Academy of Science and Letters.
It is my great honor to ask His Majesty King Harold V to take his seat on the stage. The King will be accompanied by the Secretary General Øyvind Andersen of the Norwegian Academy of Science and Letters. Would you all please rise?
Det är Oslo-kamerater. Albert Einstein, who was an avid amateur violinist, once said, "If I was not a physicist, I would probably be a musician." I often think in music. I live my daydreams in music, and I see my life in terms of music. I get most joy in life out of music. Well, it's a well-known fact that many physicists and mathematicians are attracted to the elegance and the symmetry of music. So what could be more appropriate than having music as a traveling companion on our journey from outer to inner space and from the very large to the incredibly small? Oslo Kamerata, one of Norway's foremost chamber ensembles with performances all over the world, is conducted by Stefan Barratue Jr., Principal and Artistic Director of Barratue Institute of Music, Norway's #1 institution for development of young musical talent. They will play Norsk by Edvard Grieg.
I'm honored to bring to the microphone the president of the Norwegian Academy of Science and Letters, Nils Christian Stenseth.
Your Majesty, Minister Tore Aasland and other excellencies, Fred Kavli, and the prize winners, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Norwegian Academy of Science and Letters, it is a great pleasure and honor to welcome you to this year's Kavli Prize award ceremony. Today, science has an enormous impact on our health, economic standards, and overall quality of life, and continues to be of increasing importance. These are the words of Fred Kavli, chairman and founder of the Kavli Foundation. I wholeheartedly agree. Indeed, modern society cannot be imagined without a basic and long-term scientific enterprise. This afternoon, 8 outstanding scientists will be honored for their groundbreaking discoveries and outstanding work in 3 disciplines covered by the Kavli Prize. Each of these disciplines represent exciting and fast-growing areas of scientific research, in which new discoveries and insights have the potential to make a profound impact on society, just as highlighted by Fred Kavli. The Kavli Prizes in astrophysics, nanoscience, and neuroscience, which we are gathered here to celebrate today, were established to recognize outstanding scientific research, honor highly creative scientists, promote public understanding of scientists and their work, and finally foster international cooperation among scientists. The Kavli Prize is a partnership between the Norwegian Academy of Science and Letters, the Kavli Foundation, and the Norwegian Ministry of Education and Research. The Norwegian Academy of Science and Letters has been given the responsibility of selecting Kavli Prize winners. This is done through 3 international selection committees, 1 for each of the fields covered by the Kavli Prize. These selection committees do indeed represent the international scientific community, with members nominated by some of the most influential international scientific learned societies. These include the Chinese Academy of Science, the French Academy of Science, the Max Planck Society in Germany, the National Academy of Science in the US, and the Royal Society of London. I'd like to thank these learned bodies, learned societies, for helping us carry out the selection process. The Kavli Prize has 2 missions in addition to recognize outstanding scientific research and honoring highly creative scientists. The Kavli Prize shall also promote public understanding of scientists and their work, and finally foster international cooperation among scientists. The former is achieved largely through the broad publicity the Kavli Prize receives, both nationally and internationally. The Kavli Prize and the entire Kavli Prize week highlight the value of science through the work of the prize winners and their colleagues. I'm convinced that the attention the Kavli Prize receives raises awareness of the need for basic long-term science, and thus aids those politicians responsible for creating effective platforms for the scientific endeavor, be it in Norway, US, or anywhere else in the world. The Kavli Prize Symposia held yesterday promotes such important understanding of science, as do the Kavli Prize lectures to be held tomorrow at Blindern campus of the University of Oslo. I should also like to add the public lecture held by Bill Bryson at the Blindern campus of the University of Oslo and the Litteraturhuset, the House of Literature, yesterday afternoon, as a very important event in promoting awareness and understanding of science. The latter mission of the Kavli Prize, fostering international cooperation among scientists, is achieved by the global attention the Kavli Prize receives. To emphasize the international nature of science, we organized for the first time the Kavli Prize Science Forum, held yesterday afternoon, the topic of which was the role of international cooperation in science. Distinguished guests and acclaimed Kavli Prize winners, once again, I welcome you to this year's award ceremony, a great day for science and the long-term basic scientific enterprise.
Music has been a part of our lives since the dawn of humanity, and the oldest known instrument is a bone flute found in Germany that dates 35,000 years back. The instrument you are now going to hear is about 30,000 years younger, the trumpet. But the physics of these instruments is exactly the same. Blow air through a tube and create beautiful standing sound waves. The fact that Norway holds the unofficial world record in brass bands per capita tells us that we have embraced this possibility with enthusiasm and with dedication. Well, I must say that some Norwegians do this better than others, and one of them is Trond Sagbakken. He's 12 years old, and together with Oslo Kamerata, he will play the debutante. Well, ever since Galileo pointed his primitive telescope out into the dark night in 1609, the craft and science of the telescope making have driven the expansion of our world view. Each increase in the size and capability of telescopes is inevitably followed by groundbreaking discoveries.
This was the case with Edwin Hubble's discovery that other galaxies are made of stars and that they're moving away from our own galaxy. Hubble was using the largest telescope of his time, the then recently completed 100-inch mirror on Mount Wilson in California.
Today, we have grown accustomed to the stunning images from the NASA telescope named after Hubble. And one might think that astronomy has become a space-based science, but not so. The last decades have seen a renaissance in Earth-based observation.
On mountaintops far from our light-polluted regions around the world, astronomers are building giant telescopes using innovative technology. And this year's laureates have made great contributions to this development with their work on telescope mirrors.
The moment has come to honor 3 scientists with the Kavli Prize in Astrophysics. The 3 laureates are Professor Jerry Nelson, Dr. Ray Wilson, and Professor Roger Angel.
It's an honor to welcome the chairman of the Prize Committee for Astrophysics to justify the award. Dr. Oddbjørn Engvoll is a professor at the Institute of Theoretical Astrophysics at the University of Oslo and was until recently Secretary General of the International Astronomical Union.
Today's new telescopes and their instrumentations are at the heart of progress in astronomy. Major leap in telescope performance during the recent decades have led to ever newer and more exciting new discoveries, such as the existence of planets around other stars, the astounding discovery of massive black holes at centers of galaxies based on observations of rapidly swirling stars, and the overall accelerating expansion of the universe. Modern telescopes allows one to look billions of years back in time and provide opportunities to test ideas related to how the universe has evolved. The laureates of the 2010 Kavli Prize in Astrophysics, Jerry Nelson, Ray Wilson, and Roger Angel, have pioneered independently, truly groundbreaking, innovative solutions leading to the development of a new generation of large optical telescopes. Ray Wilson pushed the concept of a single, thin, flexible, and lightweight mirror where the correct mirror shape could be controlled and maintained through the introduction of what is called active optics. Ray Wilson's concept was first implemented and tested in the new technology telescope, which encouraged the Southern European Southern Observatory to build the very large telescope, an assembly of 4 separate large optical telescopes. This facility has now been in successful operation at the Cerro Paranal site in northern Chile for more than 10 years. Roger Angel invented a brilliant technique for casting a mirror mold in a spinning furnace and warping the polishing tools, along with other innovations that were extended to production of lightweight mirrors of large diameter and short focal ratios. Roger Angel's compact, large diameter concept allowed one for combining individual telescopes so that they can function as one notably larger single unit. Several such telescopes have been built and have proven highly successful. The giant Magellan telescope, consisting of 7 large primary mirrors, is planned for completion in 2018 at Las Campanas Observatory in Chile, and it will certainly become a most powerful instrument for generations of astronomers. Jerry Nelson pioneered the radical use of segmentation in telescope primary mirrors by replacing a single primary mirror with a combination of many hexagonal segments that are carefully shaped and controlled by computerized actuators to constantly maintain ideal reflecting surfaces. Nelson's segmented mirror solution led to the celebrated twin Keck telescopes on Mauna Kea, Hawaii, to the Gran Telescopio Canarias, and other major successful facilities. His solution is also the basis for the James Webb Space Telescope, a next-generation telescope in orbit after Hubble, to be launched in 2014, and for the 42-meter diameter European extremely large telescope that will be put into operation in 2018. Their contributions and impacts to astronomy and beyond, through the ingenious concept developed by Nelson, Wilson, and Angel, will have profound implications well into the future as they are applied to ever larger and more powerful telescopes. I will then ask Jerry Nelson, Ray Wilson, and Roger Angel to come forward to receive the 2010 Kavli Prize in Astrophysics from His Majesty King Harald.
I got music, I got rhythm, and so has almost everybody else. Our brain seems geared towards musicality, and your auditory cortex can process both harmony and rhythm, and all over the brain there are areas that respond to pitch, rhythm, harmony, and tone. But most fascinating is the deep emotional connection, music's ability to move us to tears of joy or of sorrow, or just to burst into a homemade salsa on the kitchen floor when the radio plays that tune we love so much. Well, I'm confident that our next artist will stimulate your amygdala or orbitofrontal cortex, two of the areas which can send the chill down your spine when that right tune is played. So please welcome our young tenor, Didrik Solli Tangen, who has conquered the hearts of the whole nation with his music, classical music, but also representing Norway in the European Song Contest. Ladies and gentlemen, Torna a Sorrento.
Mare quanto è bello, spira tanto sentimento, come tu a chi tiene a mente, cacetato fai suonare. Guarda qua chi stu cardino, sente si stura arance, non profuma così fino, dinto cuore se ne va. Tu dici a parda Dio, tu allantava stu cuore, da sta terra te amore, tieni o cuore non tornare. Tu dici a parda Dio, tu allantala stu cuore, da sta terra te amore, tieni o cuore non tornare. Ma non me la sa, non darne sto tormento, torna furiando, a me campa.
Nanoscience has the rare distinction among sciences of having a birth date. On December 29th, 1959, the brilliant physicist Richard Feynman gave a talk that was called "There's Plenty of Room at the Bottom." I played Feynman in a play on Broadway a few years ago, and I've always been struck by his amazing ability to ask the simplest of questions that, however simple they were so deep that they opened doors on unseen universes. And that's very much what happened that night when he gave that talk in 1959. He said, "Why can't we write the Encyclopedia Britannica on the head of a pin? And the answer he gave turned out to be a blueprint for the nanoscience of the future. Feynman challenged his colleagues to build an instrument that could manipulate single atoms. He foresaw that you could have machines the size of a virus. He even foresaw that DNA would be important in nanoscience. He said, biology is not simply writing information, it's doing something with it. Since that lecture, many of Feynman's challenges have been met by his colleagues, by scientists working in the fields of physics, chemistry, and biology. This year's laureates have each contributed greatly to moving the dream of a world transformed by nanotechnology closer to reality. And now the moment has come to honor the two scientists with the Kavli Prize in Nanoscience. The laureates are IBM fellow Donald Eigler and Professor Nadrian Seaman.
Tack. The chairman of the Committee in Nanoscience, Arne Skjeltorp, will now justify the award. He is professor at the Department of Physics at the University of Oslo and head of the physics department at the Institute for Energy Technology.
A central theme of nanoscience is the ability to control the arrangements and patterns of matter at the scale of nanometers, which is about 100,000th of the thickness of a human hair. The Greek philosopher Democritus postulated around 400 BC the existence of an ultimate uncuttable particle of matter he named the atom. Over 2,000 years later, on September 28, 1989, Donald Eigler became the first person in history to move and control individual atoms. Eigler used the Nobel Prize-winning invention, the scanning tunneling microscope, which works by positioning a fine metal needle above the material under observation. As the tip is moved along the surface, it reveals the contours of the atoms below. Eigler's experiments involved a metal surface that had been exposed to xenon gas in vacuum at very low temperatures. With a microscope, he could see the xenon atoms scattered on the surface like soccer balls on a frozen playing field. He found he could use the tip of the needle to drag individual atoms from one location to another. To demonstrate this, he famously created the world's tiniest IBM logo made from 35 atoms of the xenon gas. He went on to make a series of breakthroughs that have helped us understand the quantum rules that govern the basic units of matter. This knowledge has the potential of paving the way for making incredibly small electronic devices with many fascinating applications. Donald Eigler provided credibility and inspiration for nanoscience. Nadrian Seaman conceived the idea of using DNA, the genetic material of life, as a building material for nanoscience and nanoscale engineering. Siemens had been frustrated on the difficulties involved with making crystals from certain molecules, which is crucial for the determination of their structure. He started the field of DNA nanotechnology with the idea of using information about how the pieces of the DNA fit together to organize matter into different structures, rather like the Japanese art of origami. To achieve this, he worked out the rules by which DNA strands link together so that they would self-assemble. And he spent years developing an understanding of these rules so that no structure other than the desired one would form. Ceremont also designed the first DNA-based robot arm with the ability to capture and place molecules at will with high precision. Most recently, he has produced a programmable DNA-based assembly line. This is just the beginning, but it promises to turn the basic molecular component of life into a means of producing a wide range of novel devices in fields ranging from electronics to biology. The exciting work of Eigler and Ceremont is a hallmark of curiosity-driven basic research and in the Fred Kavli spirit. I will now ask Donald Eigler and Nadine Ceremont to come forward to receive the 2010 Kavli Prize in Nanoscience from His Majesty King Harald.
Some of the greatest breakthroughs in science happen when two or more completely different disciplines get together to create something that neither one of them could do on its own. And one of our most cherished art forms does the same thing. When opera brings together the theatrical techniques of the spoken theater with the world of music, the results can be astonishing. Well, prepare to be astonished right now as we welcome one of Norway's most talented young singers, Silvia Moi. She and the Oslo Camerata will perform O mio babbino caro, O my beloved papa, by Giacomo Puccini.
O mio babbino caro, mi piace bello, bello,
Most of us have come to accept that we are our brains in the most fundamental way. Our sensations, memories, emotions, all originates in the jello-like substance inside our skulls, through communication between billions and billions of neurons and other cells. And this is indeed one of the strangest and most wondrous phenomena of the universe. The basic language of communication in the brain and nervous systems are chemical signals known as neurotransmitters. They are fleeting as the thoughts and sensations they convey, but without it, we would be literally nothing. The recipients of this year's Neuroscience Prize have greatly contributed to our knowledge with their effort to reveal the precise molecular basis of neurotransmitters. It is time to honor 3 scientists with the Kavli Prize in Neurology. The laureates are Executive Vice President Richard Scheller, Professor Thomas Sudhoff, and Professor James Rothman.
It's a great pleasure to introduce the chairman for the Committee for Neuroscience to justify the award. Dr. Jon Storm Mathisen is professor at the Center for Molecular Biology and Neuroscience at the University of Oslo.
The Kavli Prize in Neuroscience 2010 honors the discovery of a biological nanomachine. This is one of the first examples of a neurobiological process in which we understand in detail what single molecules do and how they interact. Just over 120 years ago, it was realized that the brain consists of units, the nerve cells, or neurons, which communicate with each other through contacts at the nerve endings, subsequently called synapses. The Norwegian scientist Fridtjof Nansen, who later became the president of the Academy, here the Norwegian Academy of Science and Letters, was the first to state this principle in papers published in 1886. At the synapse are small bags of vesicles which contain the neurotransmitter chemical that carries the signal to the next cell. When the nerve impulse reaches the nerve ending, it causes an influx of calcium, which triggers the fusion of one or more vesicles with the surface membrane and releases the transmitter via a process called exocytosis. The Kavli Prize winners have revealed for us the key components of the molecular machinery that governs exocytotic transmitter release. Their work shows that this is a special case of the fundamental dynamics of cell membranes. Richard Scheller identified and cloned the genes of several proteins, later called SNRs, that are responsible for neurotransmitter release by exocytosis. The SNRs are partly situated in the membranes of the vesicles and partly in the surface membrane target. Thomas Sudhoff succeeded in identifying and cloning several additional proteins that control exocytosis using genetically modified mice to demonstrate their roles. One of these proteins, synaptotagmin, proved to be the calcium-sensitive trigger on neurotransmitter release. James Rothman discovered proteins that are important for membrane fusion and exocytosis in various cells. He found that these proteins, when exposed to brain extracts, bound precisely the proteins that Scheller had identified, leading to the snare hypothesis for vesicle fusion and exocytosis. At the synapse, one vesicle protein, or V-snare, and two target membrane proteins, or T-snares, combine to form a twisted spring-like cord that, acting like a zipper, forces the two membranes together, much like the breakdancers you saw earlier. Ancillary proteins control the process. This basic mechanism underlies all forms of membrane fusion, but the properties of the proteins involved in neurotransmitter release are ideally suited for speed and for precise localization and timing. Disturbances or changes in this molecular machinery underlie various forms of disease. The new information provided by the prize winners is required for rational approaches to finding new treatment strategies. It exemplifies the importance of basic research for practical advancements, as pointed out so well by Mr. Kavli. Research steered by curiosity is an integral part of human nature and culture, and the most astonishing benefits emerge on which society depends. I now ask James Rothman, Richard Scheller, and Thomas Seedorf to come forth to receive the 2010 Kavli Prize in Neuroscience from His Majesty King Harald.
This spring, Oslo proudly hosted the International Menuhin Competition, the world's leading competition for young violinists under 22 years. Yehudi Menuhin was a true citizen of the world, and from early childhood he considered music as an irresistible force for good. Yehudi Menuhin always wanted his competition to be the least competitive competition in the world, where all candidates could admire each other and learn from each other. And they do, certainly. But competition it is. And we are happy to welcome back to Oslo the winner of the Junior Prize of the Menuhin Competition 2010. He's 13 years old. He comes from Ottawa, Canada. So the winner of the Menuhin Competition's Junior Prize, Curson Leong, will play a piece by Pablo Sarasate, The Introduction and Tarantella.
A few years ago, I sat with Fred Kavli on a bench outside his house near a cliff overlooking the Pacific Ocean, and it was a breathtaking sight. And you could tell just by where Fred had built his house how much the vast beauty of nature means to him. And as we sat there, he told me that as a boy, he was struck with awe at the sight of the mountains in the winter night with the Nordic lights rising up behind them. And even as a boy, he began to ask deep questions. How did this amazing universe begin? How did all this get started? And he wasn't just smart, he was industrious too. He started a business with his brother at the age of 12 and put himself through school. He never lost the curiosity that saw him through a long career in science. And now he gives generously so that other scientists will be encouraged to carry on that great adventure of asking and searching for answers to the same kind of deep questions that he asked as a boy. And as we looked out over the Pacific that day, he said, "Since I was a boy, my mission was to do something of long-range benefit to the human being and to look farther into the future than most people do." Please welcome to the stage a man whose vision and generosity will help generations to come to see farther into the smallest and the largest and the most complex parts of the universe. Please welcome Fred Kavli.
Your Royal Majesty, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's always a great pleasure to be back here in Norway, my native country, and to honor and celebrate the Kavli Prize winners. Every time I visit Norway, I always admire its beauty, and my thoughts go back to Eresfjord, where I was born and grew up in western Norway. It was a green valley nestled between the mountains, with meadows and waterfalls and a wide salmon river flowing gently from the lake to the fjord at the end of the valley. It was the spring of life, and how great it was to see the grass grow and hear the birds sing, to smell the flowers, to feel the joy and power of youth, the dream, adventure, ambition, optimism, and lust for life. This is where I learned to know the power and the gentle beauty of nature, and fought to solve the problems of life and love, the spirit and the meaning from the beginning to the end, casting the foundation and philosophy of life, which has not changed and which has followed me ever since. As I grew up, I looked up towards the blue sky and dreamed of what is beyond the tall mountain tops, what is out there, and how did it all begin. It began with a Big Bang 13.7 billion years ago, and evolved from a primordial soup of elementary particles. Luckily for us, at the earliest stages, matter came to dominate over antimatter. And the most elementary particles cooled and formed neutrons and protons, atoms, and matter. The gas condensed and formed stars and galaxies, and eventually developed into the universe as we know it today, with 100 billion galaxies containing over 100 billion stars each, and probably over 100 billion planets in each galaxy. And that is only 4.5% of what's out there. The rest is dark energy and dark matter. Since the Big Bang, there has been a bias to more complexity and refinement in the universe. And so here on the planet Earth, it has developed to the highest and most complex form, which is life, nature, and the human being as we know it. Life has adapted and managed to survive in the most inhospitable areas, from the deepest dark depths of the ocean around the volcanic vents to the coldest places in the Arctic region. I believe that the universe has a bias towards life, with an unstoppable power to grow, penetrate, and succeed in different environments over time. With 100 billion planets in each galaxy multiplied by 100 billion galaxies, we have 10,000 billion planets. 10 to the 23rd power, which makes me believe that the universe is teeming with life in different forms and stages of development. Even though I believe that the universe is teeming with life, the probability of signals from outer space coinciding with our ability to listen may be limited. In a short span of time, our brain, our hunger for knowledge to understand life and nature, has made us the master and custodian of the planet Earth. And in just 100 years since science has established us to find cures, science has enabled us to find cures for disease, reduce suffering, physical misery, double our lifespan, and vastly increase our standard of living. The Kavli Foundation supports basic science because we believe in its long-range benefit to humanity, benefits that may take a long time to materialize, but the benefits have been proven over time. Practically everything we touch in our daily life has been developed or improved through basic science. We have selected the fields of astrophysics, nanoscience, and neuroscience because we believe that major discoveries can be made and vast benefits can be harvested from these fields. We cannot predict the future today any more than we could 50 years ago, as the invention of the transistor led to the computers and the IT world which we know today. But the human potential is limitless as we learn to understand the basic laws of nature and discover its secrets, such as the unified theory of physics, and come to understand dark energy and dark matter. The decoding and mapping of the genome has opened the door to the creation of new forms of life. It will, in time, revolutionize medicine, lead to the cure and control of diseases, and increase our lifespan. The understanding of brain and mind will lead to better treatment of mental diseases and the advancement of computing and artificial intelligence. Nanoscience and nanotechnology will open up new horizons in applied sciences, such as creating new materials that are lighter, stronger, and more temperature resistant, advance superconductivity, and provide better tools for science and technology. Today we celebrate the best of science by honoring these esteemed scientists who, with their groundbreaking work, have taken us a step forward on humanity's journey to better understand and utilize nature. From the virus to the gene to the highest form of life, there is a drive to mutate, to overcome obstacles, to find new ways of life in our unstoppable hunger for knowledge and understanding of the universe and nature. I believe the universe has a bias towards life, as we see here on the planet Earth. Every blade of grass, every tree, every fish and bird, animal and human being fights for life and live and die for the survival and the duplication of their offspring. Nature celebrates the triumph of life with an unstoppable power to grow, gain new knowledge, and charge new paths to the unknown. I want to thank His Royalty, His Royal Majesty the King of Norway, for his participation in the prize ceremony and for his presentation of the awards.
It's a basic principle that good science springs from a vibrant community of scientists sharing and discussing their findings.
It is our ambition that the Kavli Prize Award and the gathering over days of scientists, the lectures by the laureates, public outreach programs will be a powerful contribution to the scientific community, but not only to that it will also strengthen the role and status of science in tomorrow's world.
Let's wish ourselves luck and luck to the generations that follow us as we ask our questions, the deepest, the most profound questions, but also the most lighthearted and ordinary sounding questions. Questions that lead to opening doors to universes we never knew were there. And let's never forget that we're also a part of nature.
Well, Your Majesty, Excellencies, laureates, ladies and gentlemen, as we are approaching the end of the Kavli Prize Award 2010, let's hear once more our orchestra and its musical director and composer, Staffan William Olsson, and our young musical stars.
d'agua che stu cardino siente si stura arance non profuma così fino dinto corre se ne va a tu digia parda Dio tu allantalas tu core dos da terra te amore tieni o core non torna.